Hello, my sober lovelies. Before we dive in, I'm really excited to announce my group coaching program for women is live, and you can join now. So excited for this because let's be real here. Quitting drinking isn't just about saying no to the glass of wine or booze. It's about what comes after. All the fear, the boredom, the late night anxiety, and the stories you've been telling yourself for years. And that's where my Rewired Sober group coaching program for women comes in. It's only $247. I'm being totally transparent on the price. It's for 3 months, and you'll learn how to shift your mindset, build habits that actually stick, and question the core beliefs that have been keeping you stuck, and find healthier ways to deal with that loneliness and that now what feeling. The best part is you don't have to do it alone. We'll have live group coaching sessions weekly, and there'll be a bunch of women walking through it with you. It's not another cookie cutter sobriety program for mommy vloggers. It's neuroscience meets real life, and it's designed for women to help you not just stay sober, but actually feel good living sober. You can join anytime, and I'd love to see you on the inside. So start today, get instant access. The link's in the show notes. Welcome to Rewired Sober, the podcast where we unpack what it really takes to rewire your brain after alcohol. Hi, I'm your host, Kate Vitella, a registered nurse, board certified in mental health and addiction, sober since 2018, and a coach who blends neuroscience, lived experience, and real talk to help women break the shame spiral and rebuild their thinking with tools like journaling, humor, and honest conversation. This isn't surface level sobriety. This is where the healing gets deep, grounded, and unapologetically honest. So let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Rewired Sober. Today, I've got an exciting guest. I've got Suzanne Warye on the mic. She is the voice behind the Sober Mom Life podcast and the author of a new book coming out, which we'll get into. And I am really excited to have these conversations because I feel like she's calling out wine mom culture, the myth of moderation, all the sneaky ways that alcohol steals from us so much more than it gives. And she's doing it with a lot of honesty and humor. I love that part of your signature bio is that you're always reheating your coffee. Isn't that such a mom thing? Like, we don't even have time to. Anyway.
Yes.
So Suzanne is a sobriety influencer at Suzanne Warye and at the Sober Mom Life, and the host of the popular podcast, as I mentioned. Your podcast has really taken off, and you are the founder of the Sober Mom Life Cafe. Suzanne has created a supportive digital community for women to explore their relationship with alcohol and find freedom in sobriety. Her writing has been featured in Scary Mommy and the Huff Post. Residing on the North Shore of Chicago with her husband and 3 kiddos, Suzanne spends most of her time reheating her coffee, I love that, and rocking her whole heart, half-ass parenting philosophy. And Suzanne's book is coming out. It'll be today. We are recording this a little bit in advance, but the book is out today.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I can't believe the book is out today. That's insane. This whole thing has like been so surreal that I'm just like, even hearing you like read that bio, I'm like, it just still doesn't feel like real life. And so I'm just holding on.
Yeah, that's what we were talking before we hit record. I'm like, how are you doing all this?
I don't know.
Kids, and and your blog. I checked that out. You have a blog, My Kind of Sweet.
That was
style,
actually yes, that's
sobriety?
how I started.
Okay, we
Yeah.
have so much to talk about.
I know,
Let's
I know.
let's go. How did all of this start? Because when I was first trying to figure out what your brand was, I was like, I think she's like a fashion influencer.
Yes, I was. That's how I started. I started my kind of suite in 2015 after I just had my first baby, and I was struggling with postpartum OCD, which I turned out just to be regular OCD, which I didn't know that I had, and I needed to just, like, feel like myself and get out of my brain, and so I have a history my work, like, I was a manager at Bloomingdale's for a long time, and so I've just always been into fashion, so I was like, "Okay, I'll start this style blog," and I did that, and I loved it. It was when I began to share about my postpartum anxiety and OCD that I really, like, started to connect with women deeper than just through clothes. And I loved that, like, that really kept me going, and then I quit drinking in January 19th, 2020, and, I didn't pivot to sobriety right away because I didn't know what the hell I was doing or how I was thinking about my sobriety. I knew I didn't wanna call myself an alcoholic. I knew the term recovery didn't feel good. I didn't wanna count days, all of these things, but I was still trying to figure out what this was. And so I didn't then, like, fully kind of transition to a sobriety influencer, I think until maybe a year later. And then it just took off, like, I started the podcast and created the community and then wrote a book to share with the world this different way really to think about not only alcohol, um, but what life can be without it, and that's what this sober shift is.
Yeah, so I'm imagining, okay, it's out today. Women are having coffee at Barnes& and Noble or their favorite indie bookstore. Pick it up. What's the first impression that you hope that people get here?
I really hope that they feel seen, maybe for the first time. I hope that they feel kind of this invitation to finally think about their relationship with alcohol, finally start to, as I write about in the book, it's like mold in the basement, all of these alcohol stories that we've collected and that we don't really feel free to talk about them or to look at, what alcohol really has done to us, how we've used it. We generally don't talk about that, and we definitely don't share it with anyone until alcohol's in our rearview mirror, and so I hope this book feels like me kind of taking their hand and saying, like, "Come here, like, I'm gonna walk you through this. I'm not only gonna walk you through burning down what you thought alcohol was," like, I get into some science, and I just dismantle this belief that drinking alcohol is a privilege, right? And then kind of in the second half of the book, then we start to build. And it's like, okay, now that we've burned the shit down, it's time to like build this new foundation. And so I hope their first kind of, within the first introduction of the chapter that they're like, oh my God, like, it feels like I am seen, and it feels like this isn't a sensational rock bottom story. These are, the stories of mine and women who shared their stories for the book. It's like the secret kind of pervasive ways that alcohol steals things from us that from the outside we can't tell, but from the inside that feels like, um just so corrosive and horrible, and so it's putting words to that and then walking through it, really.
I love that. I love the idea of feeling like you're being seen. It's like
Mhm.
I go back to this quote from Christy Tate's book, The Group. You don't need a
Oh, yeah.
cure, you need a witness.
Mm.
Witness to your pain, to all your wild emotions, to the journey. You need to feel and be seen. So,
Yes. Yes, and
love
so
that.
and, this is off of the heels of a pandemic when women began drinking more than anything and when we did feel isolated and that no one, we just felt so much shame about how we were drinking, how alcohol was affecting us, but we thought it was like user error because that's the message that we get, right? That it's just like, no, you have to do this better. You're doing it wrong. Like you're not drinking responsibly. And it's not you. You are not the problem. You never were the problem. The problem is alcohol, right? And so um yeah, just finally being able to talk about that and, like, connect with women over it. That's always been, like, my favorite thing in sobriety is just to be able to talk to women like you, right? And have, like, deep conversations and, like, "No, let's actually tell the truth about alcohol." That's what I do on the podcast, and I could do that forever, and just being able to give women space to do that, I think is so important.
Yeah, I like what you said about user error because for so long, that was what big alcohol had hoped. We all internalized this message that, oh, it's our user error. We
Yeah,
should be able to drink responsibly and normally. And so
yeah,
we don't blame the substance, we blame ourselves.
yeah.
Like we are defective. And so I caught on to the fact that you said I don't call myself an alcoholic and I don't either. There was a time when that term resonated with me. I am also a way more of a rock bottomer. I had a
Mhm,
massive rock bottom. But what is it about you had said you don't identify with the term being in recovery, though
mhm.
that made me curious.
Yeah. I write about this in the book too. I feel like I have recovered from so much in my life, whether it's, surgeries, like emergency appendectomy, like hysterectomy, like actually literally recovering, or if it's like being in the depths of OCD and feeling like I want, like the answer is to end it all. Um, a recovery to me feels like this period where I am, really kind of not at my peak, not at my max, like, I'm really, like, slowing down, and I think there is a time in sobriety where that it felt like that. I think probably maybe that first year felt like, I was more tender with myself and, um, taking it slower, sleeping a lot more, right? All of these things that I think for me sounds like I'm recovering from something. Um, for me, at least, it doesn't sobriety to me just doesn't feel like I'm recovering. It doesn't mean it's not my life's work to figure out how I feel and what I need, right? Like I will continually do that. That's kind of a daily thing and treat myself with compassion, but it's not this um yeah, it's not this, like, acute trauma recovery feeling. I've recovered from hangovers, right? Like, that to me feels like recovery, and sobriety is just for me, it just feels so much fuller and brighter than the term recovery than how that feels just to me.
Yeah. What I love about that is that we get to call it whatever we fucking
Yeah,
want, right?
exactly.
It's your
Exactly.
journey. You
Yes.
get to and I even say, if you've seen one person's recovery story, you've seen one person's recovery story.
Yes.
We're all a little different. I mean, yes, there are similarities, and we look for those similarities to feel seen and heard, but you have to meet people where they are in terms of their stories and how they identify that, their emotional literacy around the whole journey, and I guess I don't mind. I mean, I call myself in recovery from
Mhm.
substance use disorder. I have a tendency to use a little bit more medical speak because I've been a nurse for 100 years.
Yeah.
Um, but it's so individualized. You get to say
Yes.
whatever resonates most with you. And it makes sense that to you the word recovery means like from an acute issue.
Right. Well, and that is like you hit the nail on the head that it is we get to decide. There's no, AA has had this long-standing kind of ownership of sobriety, and that's great for what it is, and if that has helped you, that's amazing. But the thing is, and it's okay if they don't understand kind of this shift, right? And this different way of doing it. And it is a continual, like, that's what sobriety gives me, is a continual ability to check in and see how it feels and just see how it sits. Try it on. I tried on the recovery term, right? I didn't try an alcoholic because the term alcoholic did keep me drinking for so long because I was like, well, I know I'm not that. Like, I'm not When a Man Loves a Woman, like Meg Ryan. That is not how my drinking looked, and so, I guess there's nothing to see here, but that wasn't true, right? And so, you know, also it's interesting with the rock bottom situation. I think some people might read the book and it opens up with the last time I drank, and I nursed my baby in a blackout, right? I hadn't blacked out in 5 years. Um, and some people might say, dude, that's a rock bottom, right? Like, that's and that's okay. Like, I think that there are a lot of opinions on sobriety and on alcohol because we have, really stuffed down how we think about it and talk about it in our own lives. Like I said, we're just not willing to talk about it. And so people will have opinions on what h whether or not you call yourself an alcoholic. I get comments every day like, "Well, you're obviously an alcoholic. You're gonna drink again because you're in denial." Right? And I'm like, "That's okay." Like, that's okay for you to think. Like, this is way too precious for me to you just don't get any input on this because this is mine, right? And it's sacred. Um, and so some people might be like, "Yeah, no, you did hit rock bottom," and that's okay. Like, it's it's just okay what anyone wants to think about my sobriety and how they think about theirs. It doesn't mean wrong, right, success, failure, none of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I agree. It's funny because it's all about how we tell ourselves the story, you know? I have
Yeah.
this Post-it note over on my bookcase when I read books, and it says, "Who would you be without your story?" Like,
Mm,
we build this identity around who we think we are, and just talking to you right now, for the first time, I thought about why I call myself a person with a big rock bottom. And
mm,
when I put all the pieces together, a lot of bad things happened, but I
mhm.
still had a husband and a house and you know what I mean? Like, I was not
Yeah.
homeless in a ditch. So,
Right.
would would that be rock bottom in some people's book, or would I be just another privileged white chick with a ho-hum story and people are gonna roll their eyes and be like, "Yeah, fuck you." Right?
Right. And
So,
it's probably both, depending
yeah,
on who you're
2
talking
things can
to.
be true.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's probably depending on the room, depending on who you're asking, and that's why, like, I just don't ask. Like,
It's not
I don't
up to someone else,
no, like,
right?
I don't really I literally don't care, like, how you view my sobriety. It'd be the same as, like, how you view my love for my kids, like, I'm not asking anybody, like, "What do you think about how I love my kids?" That's just etched in stone, right? And so it does feel like that personal to me and that it's such a relief also just to be able to say, like, "It's okay." It's such a relief to be able to say in really any situation, being 45 and being sober, I think is kind of a superpower that you can say, like, it's okay if you don't understand. It's okay if you are dead set on misunderstanding. It's okay if you think I'm wrong. It's okay if you don't like me. It's okay if you don't invite me. It's okay if I'm not your kind of person. Like, that is all okay. And I think as a woman to be able to say that is, yeah, I think it scares people, but I think it's like a superpower.
I totally agree. I don't ask for people's opinion on most things I do in my
Yeah.
life, right? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't ask for your opinion that I should wear a men's vintage vest and a
If you
old
did, I would have said, "Yes, do it," because I love it.
Yeah, like, there's so many things in my life I'm confident about where I feel like I don't ask others' opinion.
Yes.
And I think, for those of us I like to say I was classically trained in AA. So I
Yeah.
I had 2 years, pre-pandemic of AA. And I will say the program itself, the community saved my life and helped me get sober.
Yeah.
But my personal shift of deciding to join these online groups and not go back into the rooms of AA and take hold of the messaging, the possibility that we can rewire our brains and heal. Like there's that
Yes.
possibility, right? And
Yeah.
and that was the whole kind of premise of this brand and even shifting this title of this podcast to Rewired Sober. Because it was like, at what point am I gonna quit being afraid to say, "Oh, guess what, folks? You can rewire your fucking brain, and you don't have to
Yes.
call yourself an alcoholic despite being sober for 10, 20, 30 years." Like,
Yes.
that's something you don't even do anymore. Why would you call yourself that?
Right.
Like,
Why are you tying yourself to a thing that you have really outgrown and showed that you're way too good for it and you've left it behind? You're still living in the shadow, right? And like you don't have to. You really don't have to. I love the idea of rewiring your brain. You know, as someone with OCD, I have like a very specific relationship with my brain. And, like, I'm very aware of thoughts and how crazy our thoughts can be, how wrong our brains can be, but also how our brains can change and that minds were meant to change. And in the book, I do write about, like, yes, addiction is progressive, right? If this addictive substance is in your life for a period of time, you will build a tolerance and then you will get addicted. Like, that is just science. Don't come for me. Sobriety is also progressive, right? How you feel in that first week, 2 weeks, month, year, 2 years after you quit drinking is not how you're going to feel in 3, 4, 5. You can speak to that even more than I can because you've been sober longer. So it's all progressive. And I think the focus has for so long been on alcohol. And when at least for me and in my sobriety, and it sounds like for you too, like there's just no room. Like I don't spend my days talking well, I do spend my days talking about alcohol because I've made it my job. But
yeah.
not in my, like, actual life. I'm not yearning for it. I'm not, idolizing it. I'm not wishing I could drink it. I'm not seeing it as a privilege I lost. Like, I literally it's out of my mind. I it just it's my life is way too full now for it to even play a role.
Yeah, I like to say, like, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
There's no longer a charge around being at a I mean, I could even be at a bar, I don't care, and that's not to, like, go on and on about how resilient I am, but yes, going back to the notion of changing as we, stack on the sober years, there's definitely phases of sobriety, right? Like,
Yes.
there's the early
Yes.
sobriety phase, they say at, like, 2 years, you know everything, and um, I went through phases. I've reinvented myself in various ways so many times.
Yeah.
And one thing I've said along the journey is you are allowed to change. And if you're
And
not
that's
changing, what the
amazing.
fuck are you doing?
I know, like, isn't that it's exhilarating. And when you said reinvent yourself, I felt like this, like, exhilaration, like, isn't that amazing? It's amazing that we do get to kind of go back to before alcohol came in and started fucking things up. I was 16, and so I got to go back. What did she like to do after school? Like, how did she spend her days? Like, starting there and being like, "Oh my god, I was a whole person figuring out the world, being creative, playing sports, being my own person, not caring what other people think, having purple hair." This is why I like, wallpapered skulls in my closet. Like, you get to rediscover who you were, you get to pick up where you left off, and then you get to change from that. It's just a feeling of coming home and a way of loving yourself that, is just one of my absolute favorite things in sobriety. And yeah, like the stages of sobriety, I like that you said that too. it is like that first year, you're kinda just figuring out how not to drink, right? Like, okay, well, how am I gonna go I write about sober firsts in the book. How am I gonna go to my first concert sober? Like, my first, Thanksgiving, the first visit with my mother-in-law, right? Not mine because I love mine, but mother-in-laws can be triggering. Or my first whatever it is, and, like, you're kind of just getting the hang of this thing. I think for me, I lost my dad pretty tragically after I was just over a year sober, and I write about that in the book, and, for me, the 2nd year of my sobriety was really about therapy and about, like, okay, I've figured out how not to drink, but now I gotta figure out, like, how am I living? How am I feeling? Like, no, literally, like, tell me not like, "How do you feel?" but, like, how to do this feeling thing and not want to escape, right? I write it in the book about, like, healthy ways to escape because I don't just sit in my feelings all day long. And so, yeah, I for me, that was kind of the course it took, like, really diving into, well, what is at play here?
Yeah.
What's, from when I was little, when the wiring was set, like, what's going on?
Is that why the title is The Shift, or what is behind that? Is it neuroplasticity? Is it mindset?
It's perspective. It really is perspective. I am the opposite of you. I am not a science person. I I majored in French in college, I was just like, "Yeah, I love French. Let's do that." Um, there is science in the book, and it's very researched, and, that was the hardest part of writing the book. But really, it's a shift in perspective throughout the whole book. Each chapter is a shift from, you know, fear of missing out to living fully present, or the shift from anonymous to proudly sober, the shift from, counting days to sober firsts. And so I'm walking you through with stories and with like actual real research, with evidence. Um, yeah, how are we going to shift our perspective on this thing that we've had a relationship with for a long time that we've not been able to talk about? It's kind of funny because this whole book and the whole way that I think about my sobriety and how I kind of developed it, I got to see firsthand it play out in my family. And so when I quit drinking, everyone in my life drank. I didn't know one sober person, right? And now my brother quit drinking 4 years ago. My mom quit drinking maybe 3.5 or 4 years ago, and my husband quit drinking a year and a half ago. And so they were kind of like my guinea pigs. I didn't ask them to, right? I was very careful not to put them in a position to defend alcohol, um, because I didn't want that. I didn't, I set boundaries with my husband and I talk about that in the book, but it wasn't I expect you to quit drinking. It was just this way that I communicated about sobriety and alcohol that I write about in the book. And then so they were kind of like, without knowing it, they were like my test cases.
Yeah, yeah. I think that our husbands probably kinda had the same trajectory. My husband didn't get sober until I was 4 years sober.
Yes, same. I was
Yeah,
4 years. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. How
So,
was
yeah.
that for you? Like, was it yeah, like how was it? How did it feel for you?
Yeah, I talk a lot about this on my podcast, and I've told those stories. He's actually been on the pod a couple
Yeah.
times. In the in the beginning, he was going out to the bars while I was going to a Friday night speaker meeting for AA, and
Yeah.
I had to absolutely just put the blinders on and go straight forward and not worry about what anybody else was doing,
Yeah.
because the same thing happened to me. Nobody in my life was sober.
Yeah.
And so it was like, "Okay, if I'm gonna save my own life here,
Mhm.
I have to go laser focused in and not give an F." And it
Yes.
was really hard and it felt really lonely at times, but now I'm in a place where my sister's sober, my mom is sober, my
I
husband
love that.
same,
Wait, we do have, like, the same I love it. We have the same story, and it was the same way of, like, when I decided to quit drinking, I didn't ask. I just didn't ask. I didn't say, "Do you think I should? What do you think? How do you feel about this?" Like, I didn't when I say I don't ask anyone what they think about my sobriety, that extends to my husband, who I care what he thinks about everything, right? And I ask his input on everything except this, because I knew, like, he wasn't gonna be caught up. I knew that I had, like, I don't how many 25 years of, like, secret shame that I didn't share with him, and I didn't I caught him up a little bit as I went on, but he wasn't privy to all of the way that I felt about my relationship with alcohol, and so only I was, like, only I knew how it was tearing me apart inside, and so, yeah, I love that now it's like we're the influencer in our lives, right? Like, you
Absolutely.
don't have to be posting on Instagram and, like, sharing, your whole life to be an influencer, like, we're the influencer in our homes.
Absolutely. And I talk to clients about this too. It was never about me, you know, asking anyone's permission for anything. In on the sober journey, I had to literally not give an F what other people thought and just move forward and
Mhm.
move forward. And I didn't, I had to make it my own. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
about my husband. His drinking was something totally different. He was
yeah,
not a drinker like I was. It was not it was not this codependent thing. And or
yeah,
it couldn't be because I
yeah.
had to take full ownership of this and get sober for me, because
Mhm.
getting sober for anybody else didn't work, and it wouldn't have worked, right? Because
Yeah,
they all laid down the gauntlet, everyone in my life, and I was like, "You know what? Fuck off."
yeah,
This is but once I decided to do it for me, it's like, "Well, I'm not really asking about your opinions. This is
yeah.
I have to do this for me," you know?
Yeah, when it becomes, like, personal and it's such a man, making a that kind of vow, that sacred vow to yourself, and people call it, like, the click or the light bulb moment or when you knew, like, just that moment. I came back to that singular moment that I knew, like, that singular moment. I can picture myself on the couch. I know where my husband was sitting when I said, "I'm done," and just how I felt that it was just so solidified in that moment. That doesn't mean, like, doubts didn't come in later, right? Like, the minute later, the second after I said it, I was like, "Wait, what does that mean? Am I an alcoholic? What is going on?" All of the runaway thoughts, right? I kept coming back to that moment constantly, like, that first 6 months, year, when I just knew precisely, I just kept coming back to that, and anytime I felt these, like, fears, and doubts of just the noise, that, like, outside noise of, "Well, I'm not that bad," or, you know, "What are they gonna think?" or, "Will they still invite me?" or anytime anything drowned out that, I just would, like, literally shake my head, close my eyes, and get back to that couch. And like, "Okay, that's it." That moment. And yeah, it was like I was, like, tethered to that moment of truth, and then I just went
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm excited. I mean, it's so cool that your book is literally out on the shelves today.
Oh my gosh, you
And,
guys.
you know,
Ah.
it's like you put this work out into the world and then, people are going to interpret it how they want. They're going to
Uh-huh.
project their own views onto it.
Especially about this. Like,
Yeah,
especially about what we're talking about, right? It's such a personal thing. There will be people who feel, like, confronted by, like,
yeah,
they're not gonna like, I know it's such a personal thing and that I am kind of blowing stuff up. Um, it's a good thing I'm a Gen Xer, and we don't really care about blowing stuff we're okay with blowing stuff up and being like, "Yeah, I don't know." So But yeah, you can also listen to it. Like, if you like listening to books, I read it, and so you get to, like I think, I listened to so many Quit Lit books when I was in early sobriety that those became like a lifeline to me. So, if you like listening to books, you can listen to it too.
I love that. I will listen to it. I do like to listen to audiobooks because my early sobriety therapy, I think around 2 years in, all I did was go for long walks and listen to audiobooks and
Yeah,
podcasts. And,
same.
I didn't tell myself, "Well, you're gonna have to run a marathon or be a fitness influencer." It was like, "No, you gotta walk. You gotta move your
Yes.
body."
Yes, you have to that's so true. That is, like, one of the biggest tips is, like, get out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
Like, when you don't know what to do, when you don't know how you feel, get into your body. Your head our heads can mess up a lot of stuff. Mine can. I mean, I have OCD, so but yeah, our brains get in the way. So, get into your
Yeah.
body. Your body knows what to do.
So one last question, because 'cause we're getting toward the end of the hour here. I could talk to you
Yeah.
about so many things. You know, when I first started in sobriety, coming out loud and, being in the public, I fancied myself a fashion influencer, and I wrote a blog for the Sober Curator on, fashion, and
Yeah.
I'm wondering for you how your personal style and all of that perspective has changed. I mean, are you dressing totally different now
I
that you're
am.
sober?
Oh my god, I love this question so much because you get it. You get that style and fashion isn't just about style and fashion, right? It's about so much more. It's a form of self-expression. And I feel this so deeply. I do write about this in the book that I when I talked about going back to 16, I really meant, like, going back to 16. And when I was 16, I was kind of like a skater girl, and I was wearing, my boyfriend's jeans to school and, like, some grandpa's, like, plaid shirt that I got at Goodwill, and I had purple hair. And I totally got back I brought her back into it, and I have been yes, I wear, you know, just whatever the hell I wanna wear. Like, we do go to a country club, and I always have to be like, "Alright, I gotta" that's sometimes it hurts my heart to be like, not being able to wear combat boots and army fatigues and showing I have tattoos, like, I just yes. The it's another way to, like, drown out the noise and just be like, "What how do I feel today? Who am I today?" I love being able to, like, play with it. Like, "Ooh, I am prim and proper today. I'm gonna wear" And it's like, "No, today I'm gonna fuck shit up, and I'm gonna wear and I'm gonna wear skulls and combat boots." Like, I love, 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 love playing with fashion. It's like that is my first love is
Yeah,
fashion. Yeah.
same, and so much of it metaphorically, it all ties so much into, what we wear on the outside says so much about what we're going through on the inside, and
Yeah.
I think there's such a high correlation between the way we dress our person and, what's going on inside, right? What
Yeah.
is our inner narrative? How are we feeling? And, just like we talked about, that goes in stages in sobriety too,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Totally. Oh my god. Well, the first year of sobriety, I was probably just in sweats and, like, literally right? Because it was the pandemic, and I was just like, "I don't know what the hell's going on." And then, yeah, being able to kinda come out of that fog and being like, "Oh." I mean, what a gift to be I was 40, 41, and, like,
Mhm.
kind of
Same.
rediscovering right?
Yeah.
Like, rediscovering oh my god, remember how I used to dress and how I would feel when I got dressed, and I felt like I could be whoever I wanted to be, like, I love being able to feel like that now at 45. Like, it's fun. It's fun to I'm in my closet right now. Like, this is my closet. You can see, um Kate Moss, and, just being able to, yeah, play in here. This is my favorite spot in our house, it's not a secret, like, I record in my closet, I cry in my closet, like, this is my safe spot, and it's amongst my clothes.
Yeah. I'm in my cloffice. This room is
Yes.
basically a room I converted into a closet office. So
Perfect.
all it is clothes.
Yes.
But
Which
this
is
is
great
where
for recording too.
yeah,
P.S.
right?
It's great for acoustics.
And it just makes me feel more I'm just the most me in here when I can create and curate and
Yes.
um just go through it all, right? So,
Yeah, same.
yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I could talk to you forever.
I
If
know.
I didn't have like clients coming up, I would like I would draw this out, but
No, I love it. Thank you so much for having me. Like I have loved talking to you, and you need to come on the Sober Mom Life, and we'll talk more there too.
yeah, I'd love to. And I actually plan on now you're doing a book tour.
Yes.
I plan on being let's see, you're going to Elliott Bay, which is a book or a store
Yeah.
in Edmonds near Seattle.
Yes.
And I do plan on going there.
Okay,
So I'll see you
yay.
live. Yeah,
Oh my
with
gosh, I'm
Casey
so
Davidson.
excited. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. So where can people find you and all your dates, tour dates you're going to be promoting? I'm so excited for this
Yes.
book to be out in the world.
Oh my gosh, me too. It's crazy. It kicks off today. So you can find me at SuzanneWarye.com and all the events are listed there. I'm at the bookstall in Winnetka tonight. And then I'm in Indianapolis tomorrow with Holly Nicholson. I'm in Madison this weekend with my best friend in the whole world, Kate Olson. And then, yeah, I go to Boston with Jill of Sober Powered on October 14th. I go to Santa Monica at Zibby's with Laura Cathcart Robbins on the 20th. We're trying to get a Portland day in there. We had one, but because of the bookstore, we're rescheduling that. So stay tuned for that. And then I'm in Seattle with Casey Davidson on October 28th.
Yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah.
see you live on the 28th.
I'm
I will be there.
excited. Yay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. I'm going to close it out and I'm sure we'll have many more talks
Yes.
about all the things.
Yes, please.
Thanks for tuning in to Rewired Sober. You can find me on my Instagram at Rewired Sober, where there are links to catch up with me and all the things I'm working on in my coaching business, or the link tree to my business directly will be in the show notes. I so appreciate you joining me on this journey, and I welcome any feedback or any topics you want to hear about, things that you're struggling with or interested in. I love you all so very much, and I'm just so enjoying doing this with you.